My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC 284 fight card, giving you my DraftKings picks, predictions, and plays. But before I jump in, let me show you what we have over at WeWantPicks.com for premium members. First of all, we're going to break down our favorites, our dogs, our value play, and the fade of the week. And then we have this exclusive cheat sheet. This cheat sheet is exclusive to We Want Picks premium members. You're going to get the salary, obviously, but then you're going to get the DraftKings score projections. These are the scores projected for each fighter, the ownership projection, and then leverage. Leverage is a proprietary calculation that our buddy Josh is putting together behind the scenes for you. We have this exact same stuff for FanDuel as well, and this will be fully populated by 6 p.m. every single Friday for every single event. And this is an interactive chart. So once leverage is populated, you can sort by leverage and use that to build yourself a multi-entry lineup. We also rank all of the fighters by game, by pool. So cash game, single entry, multiple entry. Every single fighter is ranked by their salary. And then last but not least, we have a full optimizer. This DraftKings optimizer is going to build lineups for you. This will also be pre-populated by 6 p.m.s with the value projections, the points projections, and all sorts of other information. You click a few buttons and you spit out a lineup. You can spit out 150 lineups if you are a multi-entry player. All of this is included in that $10 a month We Want Picks premium member fee. So head on over to WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's $10 a month. You unlock all of this for every single event. Let's break down the card. Enough sales pitch. Let's talk about the card. We'll start at the bottom and work our way to the top. Opening the card, we got Zubaira Tukhugov taking on Elves Brenner, Elves Oliveira here. The name is different everywhere. But anyway, Zubaira, he's a striker. He has been grappling as of late. 2 takedowns in that last fight. A takedown against Dawodu, 6 against Lerone Murphy, 3 against Renato Moicano. He's a very good fighter. $9,600 is a little too rich for my blood because he doesn't score that well. The only time he scored anywhere near 100 was that TKO KO over Aguilar. I mean, he scored 73 points in his last fight, which was a decision win that had 2 takedowns in it. I'm not spending $9,600 on that guy. He's fighting Elves Brenner. Elves Brenner's stepping up on short notice. He's also a grappler. And that's why I think Elves may be able to survive, may not just get put out quickly. I don't know if Zubaira is going to put up that $9,600 because Elves can grapple. Elves has solid BJJ, will have solid BJJ defense as well. So I'm going to leave Tukhugov off of my slate, especially at $9,600 when we have some better people that I'm more confident in. Then we have a very close fight, Shane Young and Blake Bilder. I actually like Blake Bilder in this fight. Shane Young is a solid striker. He's out of that city kickboxing gym, but he's been gone for a while. He hasn't won a fight since 2019. 2019 is the last time this dude won a fight. This feels like he's on this card because it's a local card. It doesn't feel like he's on this card because he's working towards his goals and he's working towards being a world champion. He is a solid kickboxer. He will pump out a jab. He'd just throw that jab out there constantly, and if he has the opportunity, he will put together nice combination. He's not a one-punch power guy. Blake Bilder, no stats here because he's coming off the Contender Series win. Those don't show up in DraftKings. He's an aggressive grappler. He's going to shoot as soon as he gets the opportunity. He's going to control from there. He's very explosive on the ground. He's not going to chase his submission. And I see him getting the takedowns and getting this done. So I'm on the Blake Bilder side, $7,900. He's honestly probably a decent underdog for your lineup. Then we got Loma Lookboonmee at $9,000 taking on Elise Reed. Loma should be in your lineup. I think Loma dominates in this spot. She is one of my most confident picks on this entire card after Islam. There's just giant skill gaps on the feet, giant skill gaps in the pure wrestling department, and Loma's a little undersized for the division, but she is literally a Muay Thai world level striker, right? That was her career before MMA. And then she came in here and you just assume, oh, she's small and she's a dominant striker. She's going to get pushed around. You know, if she can't strike with you, she's screwed. And that's not true. 4 takedowns against Gomes in the last fight. She took down Lupe Godinez, who's huge and a grappler. 4 takedowns against Sam Hughes. She just bodied her in that fight. Loma Lookboonmee is very good and can win these fights any way she wants to. She is taking on Elise Reed. She's an active striker. She never slows down. She actually has some decent power for the weight class. But the way Sam Hughes just beat the absolute piss out of her is what Loma Lookboonmee is going to do. I love Loma at $9,000. I see her getting the takedowns. I see her beating up Elise Reed. Jacob thinks she's going to get a stoppage. It's hard to bet on stoppages in these lighter women's weight classes, but Loma fights for stoppages. She comes in there. She's looking to take your head off. Then we got Jack Jenkins, and he's taking on Don Shanis. Jack Jenkins' official UFC debut, so we're not going to see any stats here, but he's a striker. He's a good striker. People praise his striking. I think it's a little stiff, but people love him. He's got thunderous leg kicks. He plots forward. He throws heavy strikes at a time. Incredibly accurate. So even though he's not going to have the craziest volume, his strikes are insanely accurate. And in his Contender Series win, we actually saw grappling out of him. He grappled like a maniac. Constantly shooting, working those takedowns, working on top, and he ended up getting the stoppage there. We haven't yet seen him grapple and strike in one single fight, but we've certainly seen him grapple and we've seen him strike. He's taking on Don Shanis. Don Shanis, Northeast tough guy. He's well-rounded. He bombs away on his feet. He will grapple, but I don't think he's going to have the striking that Jack Jenkins is going to have. I don't know if his takedowns are going to be good enough because now we saw Jack Jenkins have solid takedown offense. So let's assume he's got some solid takedown defense as well. So I like Jack Jenkins to get this done. Don's coming off that loss to Youssef Zalal, but he was, or Sadiq Youssef, I'm sorry. He was caught in a guillotine. He shot a takedown, which is not really normally his thing, and he was caught in a guillotine. This was a short notice fight, so he may have been worried about his cardio and just got in there and tried to get after it very quickly. So I like Jack Jenkins in this spot. $9,300 is a little expensive, but he should be good. Then we got Jamie Mullarkey. I'm telling you right now, I am fading Jamie Mullarkey. I get it. He's well-rounded. He is a grappler at heart. That's how he started his career. He's turned into a striker, a powerful striker, a busy striker. He did knock out Camaworthy and Smith, but everybody has knocked out Camaworthy. Smith, I mean, that was a decent KO win, and then Jalen Turner took his head off, and then he's coming off the decision win over Michael Johnson, and a lot of people think he lost. So while I do think Jamie Mullarkey has the tools to get this done, the problem is he's going to be in Australia. He's Australian. He's going to want to bomb away. He's going to want to put on a show for the fans. And if he is going strike for strike, toe-to-toe with Francisco Prado, he's going to get put out. This feels like that Bruno Ferreira fight. He's a powerful, fast, athletic striker. He comes in hot. I mean, the shots are looping. They're obvious, but he has insane power. He's got a nice Muay Thai clinch. He can even grapple. We've seen him double people, pick him up clean in the air, and then dump him out. Francisco Prado, at $7,500, it's tricky because I'm more of a cash game than a big tournament guy. So it's a little risky to put Prado in my lineup because, yes, he could win and he could score 1,000,000 points, but we don't know what he's going to do. It's his UFC debut. He's got all finishes. What happens if he can't put Jamie Mullarkey away early? What happens? We don't know yet. I do think Francisco can win this fight if Jamie Mullarkey wants to go toe-to-toe, but Jamie Mullarkey is definitely the better overall, more well-rounded fighter with the UFC experience. So for that reason, I'm going to fade both sides of this, but I cautious a lot of you that are seeing Jamie Mullarkey and you're going to throw him in parlays, put him in your draft. I get it. He's a UFC vet. He's got some solid wins under his belt, but this is a tricky matchup, and I think fighting at home is a factor. He may want to slug it out, put on a show, and that is not the safe play in this fight. Then we got Clayton Rodriguez taking on Shannon Ross. I am not as high on Clayton Rodriguez as some others are. He's a very, very talented guy, a very well-rounded prospect. He's got a ton of potential. He's got great striking. He mixes in kicks really well. He's got power. He can grapple. His takedown defense can use a little bit of work, but his takedown offense is solid. Clayton should win this fight, and $8,800 is incredible value if you're looking at the odds. The betting odds, I mean, he took off. His line has taken off. He's a massive favorite now, where $8,800 in DraftKings is like a good-sized favorite. And he's taking on Shannon Ross, pretty well-rounded guy. He's typically a wrestler, but he does get sucked into back-and-forth firefights. His Contender Series loss just shows how tough he is. The dude was just absolutely bodied in the first. Came out in the set, just kept coming forward. Ultimately, he was stopped, but he does not stop coming. He does not stop trying to win these fights. Clayton Rodriguez should win. Shannon Ross can be put out. Clayton's got some power, versatile striker, but Clayton can be taken down. And if Shannon Ross is going to shoot a bunch of takedowns and stick to that game plan, we could see Clayton, lose a decision. But again, this is in Australia. Shannon Ross is Australian. He may come out there. He may want to be striking. And if he's going to go strike for strike with Clayton Rodriguez, he's not going to win that. So Clayton Rodriguez should win. A lot of people are very, very confident in him. I'm not as confident, but I do think he gets it done. Then we have Josh Kulibal versus Melsik Bogdasarian. This is the closest fight on the entire card. The odds and the DraftKings pricing reflects that. Josh Kulibal is a solid striker. He is aggressive. He is tough. He's constantly throwing heat. He's constantly looking for a knockout, even though he's ending up in decisions most of the time. He's coming off that win over Sang-Woo Choi. He looked incredible in this fight. There were moments where he got cracked, but for the most part, he saw every strike coming. His defense was top-notch, and he looked good in this fight. He had 2 knockdowns, a bunch of volume, only scored 76 points, which, it's not awful, but it's not incredible either. Like 76 points at a $7,100 salary is incredible. $8,200, 76 points is not bad. You'd like to be in the 80s. He's fighting Melsik Bogdasarian. He started his career with 5 first-round knockouts. He's come to the UFC. He had a nice contender series showing, and he had a stoppage against England, and then now a decision against Souza. That's what worries me, is that decision against Souza, because Bruno Souza stepped up on short notice, and Melsik looked bad in that fight. He was able to get it done, but frankly, he was able to get it done because Bruno Souza was pretty low volume. If Bruno Souza had a touch more output through a couple of more strikes, I think he wins this fight. So based solely off their last fights alone, I think Josh Kulibal wins this matchup. I do think you probably need one side or the other in your DraftKings lineup. It's that even price point, and I do think there's probably a finish. Josh Kulibal can finish Melsik, and Melsik can finish Josh. So pick your side. I'm not going to convince you one way or the other, but if we're looking only at their last fights, Kulibal had a much better showing against Sang-Woo Choi than Bogdasarian did against Bruno Souza. And for that reason, I'm on the Kulibal side. Then we got Tyson Pedro versus Modestas Bukauskas. I'm going to fade Tyson Pedro in this fight. Jacob said it perfectly. Jacob literally said it perfectly. We still don't know if Tyson Pedro's any good or not. He took several years off after 2018. He lost the Shogun. Then he came back. He knocked out Ike Villanueva, who anybody can knock out. He knocked out Harry Hunsucker, who anybody can knock out. So we actually don't know if he's good yet or not. We just don't know. And at a $9,000 price point or $8,900 price point, I'm not willing to risk that. So Tyson Pedro is a grappler. He's a very good grappler at that. He has come back after this long layoff and found his power, knocked a couple of guys out. But he's fighting Modestas Bukauskas. Am I getting better at these names or worse? But he's fighting Modestas Bukauskas. He's a versatile striker. He is dangerous on his feet. He does tend to be more of a counter striker than a forward pressure guy. And that has gotten in some trouble in the past, but he's got all the tools to be successful in the UFC. He's never been taken down. He's got 100% takedown defense. He was cut a year ago, so he lost to Khalil Roundtree, and then he strung together 2 wins on the regional scene, and then now he's back. And listen, I get it. Like, this is not a great run. Jimmy Crute beat him. Mikhail Olenjachuk beat him. Khalil Roundtree beat him. And Tyson Pedro, who you guys all think is a striker because of his last 2 fights, yeah, he's got power. He could get it done. I'm not saying Tyson's going to lose this fight. I do think he actually wins this fight. But like Jacob said, we just don't know if he's any good yet or not. So for that reason, I am fading Tyson Pedro at this $8,900 price point. Then we got Jimmy Crute and Alonzo MENIFIELD. There's a stoppage in this fight, period. Jimmy Crute's either going to get the takedowns and stop Alonzo on the ground, or Jimmy Crute's not going to get the takedowns. He's going to get knocked out. Jimmy Crute is a grappler. He is a grappler. He does possess one-punch knockout power, but he's a grappler at heart. He's coming off the knockout loss to Jamal Hill, who's now the light heavyweight champion. The Anthony Smith fight, his leg blew out. So Anthony Smith was lighting him up with a jab, but Jimmy Crute's leg blew out. So you see TKO loss here. It was, his leg blew out. It wasn't, it's almost like what we're going to talk about in the co-main event. But he did get 3 takedowns in that fight, and that fight ended in the first round, and he had no leg. So his grappling is effective, but Alonzo MENIFIELD has very, very good takedown defense and very, very powerful hands. Here's the problem. His striking is trash. He's powerful, but it's trash, right? But his takedown defense is very, very good. And I can see him defending the takedowns, bombing away, and getting the stoppage. A technical striker is going to light him up. Any technical striker with a good jab that can set things up behind it, they're going to light up Alonzo MENIFIELD. That's not Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute comes in, chin up, no head movement whatsoever. He's going to look for takedowns. Alonzo's got fantastic takedown defense. I like Alonzo MENIFIELD in this fight quite a bit. And if you need a dog at the $7,600 price point, I think he is your guy. Then we got Justin Tafa taking on Parker Porter. Justin Tafa, these are heavyweights, right? They're heavyweights and they're strikers. So anything could happen. But Justin Tafa is all power, no footwork. That's all this guy is. He doesn't move well. He's all power. He's got a solid chin. He knocked out Harry Hunsucker, but who hasn't? Who hasn't, frankly? Jared Vanderaa lit him up with jabs. Jared Vanderaa is no longer in the UFC. He could not win a single fight outside of this fight. This is the only fight that Jared Vanderaa could win. And he lit this dude up. It wasn't even close. And that's what's going to happen in this fight. Parker Porter is a volume striker. He doesn't necessarily have that one-punch knockout power, but he does have very good footwork. He's got takedowns if he needs them, and he's got incredible volume. Parker Porter set the heavyweight significant strike record and then broke the heavyweight significant strike record. If this looks anything like that Jared Vanderaa fight, Parker Porter is going to light up Justin Tafa and score pretty well. And these are the fights where he's setting and breaking the records. 149 significant strikes against Chase Sherman, 126 significant strikes against Josh Parisian. And he scored well in those matchups. He's getting takedowns in basically every single UFC fight. I like Parker Porter to get it done. I like him at $7,800, but obviously this is a heavyweight matchup and Justin Tafa can crack. We got Jack Della Maddalena at $9,200 taking on Randy Rude Boy Brown. I do think Maddalena wins this fight. $9,200, probably safe. But Randy Brown's very good. Jack Maddalena, we just saw he's got power, right? He just get a nice little knockout in that last fight. But he was chasing the knockout there. This wasn't, all right, let's go through these. Rodriguez, UFC debut, absolute bum. This guy sucks. So yeah, Maddalena smoked him. And there was short notice. Ramazan Ameev is actually decent. So that was a great outing there. But Ramazan, if you remember, he had weird bruising. It was like weird bruising. Something was going on with that guy. And then Danny Roberts, Jack Della was looking for the knockout and then did find it. This was a little out of character. He was bombing away instead of his normal 1 million jabs in your face. He is fighting Randy Brown. Randy Brown is really long. This dude is dumb tall for the weight class. Very long, nice jab. If Jack Della Maddalena closes the distance, he'll jab up Randy's face and then get this done. If he struggles with the distance, it's going to go a little longer. Potentially Randy could win. I like Maddalena to win this fight. History says if he wins, he'll win by stoppage. But Randy is tough. I love the over 1.5 on this fight. I think it goes a little longer. Randy can manage range. Randy's got some decent striking as well, and it's going to take Maddalena a little time to figure that out. If you like Maddalena in this matchup, then spend the $9,200 and throw him in your lineup. Then we got co-main event, Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett. Yair Rodriguez, fun, creative striker that can basically do anything he wants on the feet. The problem is, I think he's a bit overrated, and I think people are giving him credit for stuff he did many years ago. 2019, he beat Jeremy Stephens. Then he was a couple years off, comes back in 2021, loses to Max Holloway, and then he wins over Brian Ortega. That was a freak shoulder injury. We got nothing out of that fight. That was a freak shoulder injury. We have no idea how that fight would have gone if that didn't happen. So this dude is basically 0-1, right? I don't want to count this as a win. In the last 3 years, and he got a title shot. I'm not saying he sucks, because he doesn't suck. He's an incredibly fun, creative striker, and he looked good in this Max Holloway fight. He looked like Yair Rodriguez. But to have a non-decision against Jeremy Stephens, then a win over Jeremy Stephens, who is no longer in the UFC, then lose to Max Holloway, then a freak injury win, and get a title shot is a bit When we got people like Chito Vera, Corey Sandhagen coming off actual wins. And he's fighting Josh Emmett. Here's the weirdness about Josh Emmett. The dude's a wrestler. He's a nasty wrestler. But he doesn't wrestle. He comes in, he bombs away. He has 11 knockdowns in 10 UFC fights. 4 of them were against Arantes in 2017. But he's a powerful, powerful striker. I actually kind of hate that for him, right? I wish he would wrestle a little more. But he did try to wrestle against Calvin Kattar. This was a close decision. A lot of people don't think he got it. He tried to wrestle against Calvin Kattar, but Calvin's got very good takedown defense. Yair Rodriguez doesn't. Max Holloway took Yair down a few times in that fight. I think Josh Emmett, if he wants to wrestle here, he gets it done. I like Josh Emmett to win this fight. I am not spending the money on Josh Emmett because he does not score well in DraftKings. I mean, look at the Calvin Kattar fight. 73 points in a 5-round decision. I don't think he's going to score that well. When we can get Parker Porter at 7,800, that does score well, and I'm more confident in him to get it done. Then we got the main event of the evening. Listen, we all love Alexander Volkanovski. We all love Alexander Volkanovski. Couldn't be a better guy. He's going to lose this fight. He's going to lose this fight. Islam Makhachev is worth the $9,500. He's going to get the takedowns. He's going to pound away on top. He could potentially get a stoppage. And if he doesn't get a stoppage, he's going to get a million takedowns and a ton of control time. It's just that simple. Volkanovski does not possess one-punch knockout power. He just doesn't. And he's going up in weight. So I don't know what the threat is from Volkanovski. The only way he wins this fight is by decision. And how is he going to out-decision Islam? I guess he could defend every single takedown, but I don't see that happening because Brian Ortega took down Volkanovski 3 times. Brian Ortega has a 2 times. Brian Ortega has a 23% takedown accuracy. So Brian Ortega with 23% takedown accuracy took down Alexander Volkanovski twice in that fight and had him very, very close to being submitted. Didn't happen, but very close 2 times. Islam Makhachev is arguably the best wrestler in the division with decent hands, with incredible BJJ, and 10 pounds heavier. You got to go Islam here. I love Volkanovski. He will potentially be the greatest 45-pounder of all time, but he's going up to 155. He's fighting the big boys. He's fighting a pure grappler, and he has been taken down by lesser grapplers in the past. It's literally that simple. You got to go with Islam. You got to spend the $9,500. Guys, don't forget, become a premium member. It's only $10 a month. You're going to get full access to this DraftKings optimizer. You're going to get full access to the fantasy cheat sheets. You're going to get everything. Our bets, our picks, FanDuel, prop games, all of it. The $10 is for everything. There's no tiers here. We're not playing some stupid game where it's $10 for this, but for $15. No. All of it is $10 a month. I'm going the volume route. We've got over 1,500 premium members today. We've done that since August. I'm going the volume route. Anybody charging you $20, $30, it makes no sense. Not in this sport, not on MMA. I'm charging you $10, you're going to get everything. Anybody that's tiering their bullshit out, oh, the optimizer's $10, $15 for the other stuff. Why would you do that? There's no reason to do that. $10 a month, you're going to get everything you have ever needed at WeWantPicks.com. Click that button. We'll see you with way more content today and a ton of cool stuff on Saturday as well.